Hi, Claus Levin with another message about how to achieve everything you want. And this is the third lesson. Go back and watch the other two so you know what I'm talking about, because what is this all about? You won't know, and you won't know the basis of what we're going to talk about now. And it'll become 10 times more valuable if you go check those other two videos out. I put them in a playlist, so you should be able to find them. In this video, we're going to talk about the one thing that holds people back more than anything else. It's a natural thing. It's a strategy that we're born with and that we use when we're children. And if we don't stop using it as adults, it will hold us back immensely. It will totally sabotage every positive action you take to improve your life. So this is hugely important, and so few people talk about it. I never heard this described in the way I'm going to talk about it in this video. And the importance is imperative. So go subscribe to this channel if you want more of it, and go download our free course on productivity. And the last time we talked about how do you actually make decisions, because nobody knows, right? We just say he made a real decision, but that's just when he got enough of what he was in. Right? If you've been sitting on a hot stove for so long that you burn your buttocks, then you're going to jump off. And then afterwards, you can have the story, I made a decision to jump off. I couldn't take the pain anymore. You didn't make a decision. You just jumped off when you were ready for it. And that's how we make decisions. Why do I do this? Why are we talking about this? Because this is what happens anyway when people make decisions, right? I made a decision to be successful. Why? Because you were so fed up with not being successful. So start getting fed up. How do you get fed up with not being successful? By doing all the wrong things. And I'm saying, consult your doctor. Don't do anything, that is terminal, right? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, be conscious about the process of learning where you want to live. And by all means, if you want to live in the zone of eating cake and ice cream, I totally love that. Really, it's awesome, right? But I try to place it. It has a small place in my life where it doesn't damage me, right? But if you want to live there all the time, if that's what you actually find out, that this is so awesome, I don't want to be the guy then by all means, go ahead and do so, right? It's a free country. Most of the countries we're in, right? Anyway, but so you do that consciously, and then you say, okay, I'm obviously ready to live like that for a couple of weeks, and then you record yourself, right? You go into it consciously, and then at some point, it can happen over 10 or 20 years, or it can happen over 1 year if you go back and forth consciously like that. But that's how decisions happen. Right? By doing it and then reflecting and learning from something else than the brain's default way of saying it's because of the world, it's not because of me. Okay, so let's say that now you're really good at living. We agreed that we have three. We have the reptile brain, we have the mammal brain, and we have the frontal lobe. So I'm just going to write human up here, right? Uniquely human. This is your superpower. You can imagine stuff and make it happen. We don't want to live down here because all the things up here is just going to torture us. All the thoughts about our future, what we could have done, those become shoulds, right? We want to live up here and then have a little bit, or some of our lives, connected to our emotions. But we don't want to be ruled by them, because basically what goes on down here is a 4-year-old child, sometimes 6-year-old when it's really high, right? But let's say that we really decided to live up here. That's what we want to do. We have made peace with the fact that life is rigged in such a way that I have to have certain rituals along the day. I have to produce stuff, right, in order for me to be happy at the highest level. So we mosey along. What happens? Suddenly something happens that seems like it's against us, right? So opposition happens. So here you go. Let's just see if we can skip this model for a little while here. So here you go. You want to go in this direction, right? This is forward. This is towards the results you want over here. And then different obstacles happen, right? And sometimes it seems like everything just goes not your way. It's just, everything is just acting in the opposite direction of where you want to go. What happens? See, now there's resistance. This is like being in a football game. Right? You play ball and the opponent comes towards you. Why do we have opponents in a football game? Because it's a perfect model of life. It is life, right? It is so close to life that you can't say that life is a game or the game is life. It's the same. You want something always, you reach out, you want whatever it is that you want for yourself, and then opposition happens. The opponents come rushing on. You want to take the ball and have their own agenda fulfilled, right? So that's what happens. How do you react? Well, if you're in a football game, 99.999% of all adults would go, oh, he took the ball from me, let's go get it. Oh, they scored, let's score in their goal. Let's see if we can get ahead. So there's an immediate planning, say, okay, I'm going to kick the ball to him, he's going to kick the ball, and then we were intercepted by the opponent, so what do we do now? So you have a plan, you make a new plan, a new plan, a new plan, a new plan all the time. That's how it is to be in a game, and you enjoy it, right? It's fun, it's engaging, it's exciting, right? What happens in life? When you try something, right? You want to go for a run and then you have an entire week with just pouring rain, minus whatever degrees, right? It's freezing cold. It seems like something out there wants you to not go for a run, right? You start your own business, suddenly the market crashes. Whatever it is, it seems like something is against you. But it only seems like that because when you're playing a football game, it doesn't seem like they're against you. Oh, they are, but that's just how it is. You accept it. It's totally okay. Because without it, there wouldn't be a game. It would be super boring. Oh, let's play a game with no opponents. It's super boring. Just go kick the ball and I scored. Right? That's not fun. Life is exactly rigged in the same way. And here's the secret. And the number one thing that sabotages you. You can basically react in a couple of different ways, fundamental ways that you are built to react in. First of all, when an opponent comes towards you in business, whatever it is, when you play a game, you can fight, right? You can put up a fight and say, I'm not going to take that. I'm just going to run after him and take the ball again, right? That's one reaction. When you're in nature, you're a caveman back a couple of hundred years ago, right? A lion shows up, can you fight it? Right? Maybe you can. Maybe you can't. Maybe it's a smaller animal and you say, I can fight it, so you do. That's how you oppose the threat, right? But you can also run. You can flight, right? You fight or flight instinct here, right? Flight, something like that. You can run, escape, elope, right? But that's active again, right? And if you see a lion and you say, okay, I can't fight that cat. It's got big teeth. It's going to eat me in a second, right? You can say, okay, let me run. But I can't outrun it, right? Which is human beings, we're weak, right? If we're not together in a pack, we're weak. I can't run out a small dog. It runs faster than me. So I can run. But let's say you can't do any of these things. You can't escape. You can't fight. There's nothing to do. You're going to be killed if you do any of these. Then you have a last option as a pack animal. You can call for help. What is that? Well, that is going, ah, right? What does that cry do? Or, ah, I panic, any of these emotions? This fight, what is that in emotional level? It's anger. It's aggression, right? If you think, or the brain thinks that it can use that to protect you. What is this run? It's fear, right? You feel fear, so you run as fast as you can. And actually, fear makes you faster at running, right? Anger, aggression makes you less susceptible to feeling pain. And it makes you stronger. It makes your eyesight improve. It's just incredible. These are hormonal chemical strategies in your brain. And so is the call for help. It's chemicals rushing through your bloodstream that makes you not feel strong, that makes you not feel fearful, but makes you feel vulnerable. You can say vulnerable, weak, powerless. Why does it make you feel all those things? Because you need to call for help. It's not just a cry for help. It's a whole state of your body that goes into help me, right? And that's why you feel all these things. You embody the victim of a lion. And please don't think of victim as something that we need to get rid of. It's a perfect strategy. It's the strategy of the pack animal. But if you go into this state, then basically what you're doing is using the strategy of a small child. That's why we have these rituals for young men to become adults and warriors, right? In the Christian tradition, we have some, when you're 14 years old, confirmation, we call it in Denmark. Other places it's called something else. Tribal societies have their own rituals for when you, and what that basically is, the only thing that is a message, a line in the sand that says, now you can't cry for help anymore. Now we cry for help and you come running. That's the shift. And if you haven't made that shift, you haven't become an adult human being. Women, on an instinctual level, are allowed to feel like victims sometimes because they need the protection of the male counterpart, right? It's just how it is. I'm not saying that's always how it is. It doesn't seem to be that way in our society, that's for sure. But on an instinctual level, on a very basic level, that's what happens. You take care of her, she takes care of the kids, right? You come running if she cries. And if you're a man, this is even more important. If you're a woman, you just use the strategy because you have the strategy within you. If there's no males that you can cry for help with, some woman will step up and be that energy. That's just how it is. We're very adaptable as human beings. But if you just think about children. They do this all the time. That's why they're rather annoying at times, right? I want it. Why don't you just go take it, right? Because they are helpless. They can't reach for it. They can't do anything, right? They need the help of an adult human being all the time. And we are the species on the planet that uses this strategy the most. So this is what we do. Thousands and thousands of times. He hit me. Hit me. Right? And what happens if nobody comes? What happens if nobody comes and helps that child? He or she becomes a bully. Right? He becomes the one that is the perpetuator, the one that brings the pain, you could say, right? Because, so that's another talk here. But this strategy of the victim, the call for help, is how we feel when we go, seriously? I just worked so hard for this. You see my shoulders? It's such a letdown. You can hear it in people's language. It's such a letdown. Come on. Who gives a hoot anyway? This, right? Right? This feeling inside. And it's destructive. Because, why is it destructive for an adult human being? Why does it ruin everything? It's because you stop everything you're doing. Because when you're a victim, you cannot act in your own interest. That's the whole point of being a victim, is that to assume the position of somebody who needs a lot of help. So those hormones are squirting around in your bloodstream, keeping you from taking action. Because if you took action, you wouldn't be a victim, would you now? So please get this and think about, where are you a victim of something? And what is that? It's that feeling of being helpless. If you feel weak, helpless in any way, in any area of your life, you are actually using a strategy that doesn't work. And you can use it for years and decades. It does not work. And depression, just the final thought here, depression is the victim strategy gone crazy. Because it doesn't work. And then the world is against you, and you try to run the victim, or your subconscious tries to run the victim strategy even harder, and it doesn't work. And it gets even worse, because you get even more inactive and get less results or the wrong results. So you try some more, you push some more with the victim strategy, which feels like it's even sadder. The world is even more against me. I'm even more helpless. And you don't know you're in this and have no idea that you are. It's awful. This is like being an adult with a childlike strategy. And once you wake up from it, and you can discard of it, then everything happens. Then you really have the power to stay in that upper level where you have connections to your emotions, but they don't rule you. And then the results, the productivity, the taking action on all the positive, exciting things you want for yourself is relatively easy actually and pleasurable. So give this some serious thought. This is the assignment really, to give this serious thought and say, where do I feel weak, powerless? Also, anxiety comes from here as well, because you feel weak, small, and powerless. So you're anxious all the time. Not all the time, but in some areas of life, right? You don't want to start your own business. You don't want to do any of this because I'm weak and powerless. Break out of it. There's no reason to live down here because you're a freaking human being. A super being that created all the things that you have around you. That's the team you're part of. You're not weak. You're not helpless. So, let that just be like that. And then I hope to see you in the next video. This is just the top of the line here. We're launching a course here in a couple of days that's going to go into this, train it into your nervous system so you use these concepts in your life and you can get on the other side of all of this and really get some results in your life and be that person who just produces results automatically. Because you live here all the time, like a game player in a game of football. You just always next, resistance comes. There's no victim, that's just playing. There's just bam, right? And it feels awesome. That's happiness. That's the real happiness. It's not the trophy above your head. It's the game playing mode, the excitement, right? And then the stepping out and recuperating, relaxing, and then in again, right? That's how we want to live. So, see you in the next video.